Imagine you're cruising down the highway, hands-free, sipping coffee, and your car just decides it's done listening to you. That's not a movie plot. That's a real conversation happening in courtrooms right now, and it's wilder than anything Hollywood could write. Self-driving cars run on something called a self-driving system, which is basically a giant brain made of cameras, sensors, and software all working together. When that brain glitches and someone gets hurt, the big legal question is, who's actually responsible? Here's where it gets juicy. There's this legal concept called strict liability, and it's the courtroom equivalent of no excuses. You broke it, you bought it. It means a manufacturer can be held responsible for injuries caused by a defective product, even if they did everything right during the design process. We're not talking about proving someone was careless or sloppy. Strict liability skips that whole argument entirely. If the product was defective and someone got hurt because of it, the company can be on the hook. Full stop. Now here's the twist with self-driving systems. Courts are still figuring out whether software counts as a product the same way a brake pad or a seatbelt does. Some legal experts argue that a line of buggy code is basically the same as a faulty mechanical part, just invisible and a lot harder to explain to a jury. Manufacturers like to argue that their technology is just a driver assistance tool, not a fully autonomous system, which sounds a lot like a kid saying they were just holding the scissors when someone got hurt. That distinction matters enormously in court because it shifts blame onto the human driver who should have been paying attention. But accident injury lawyers are getting sharper at pulling back that curtain. They know how to dig into crash data, firmware updates, and beta testing records to show that a company knew about a problem long before anyone got injured. Think back to classic product liability cases. There's a reason we have safety standards for everything from cribs to car seats today. Those rules exist because companies needed a legal reason to care, and injured people needed a legal path to justice. The self-driving industry is kind of in that same messy middle moment right now, where the technology sprinted ahead and the law is jogging to catch up in flip-flops. We've already seen investigations into major automakers after crashes involving autopilot features, and those cases are starting to set important precedents. One thing that complicates everything is that self-driving systems are updated constantly, like your phone getting a software patch at 2 in the morning. So the version of the system that caused your crash might not even exist anymore by the time your case goes to trial, which is both a legal nightmare and kind of a sneaky advantage for manufacturers. Here's what you need to understand if you or someone you know ever gets hurt in one of these crashes. Documentation is everything. The car's internal data logs, the software version running at the time, the company's known defect history, all of that becomes ammunition in a strict liability claim. Accident injury lawyers who specialize in this space are essentially becoming tech detectives. And the good ones know that these cases are won long before anyone steps into a courtroom. They're subpoenaing data, consulting engineers, and reading software documentation that most people wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. The big picture here is that strict liability exists precisely for situations where regular people can't possibly understand or evaluate the risks of a complex product. You shouldn't have to have a computer science degree to ride safely in a car that's supposed to drive itself. We're in a pivotal moment where the outcomes of these early cases will shape how accountable manufacturers have to be for decades to come. The decisions being made in courtrooms today will either protect future passengers or quietly let companies off the hook for the next generation of crashes. So the real question isn't just whether your car can drive itself, it's whether the law can keep up fast enough to protect you when it can't. If you want to learn more about how our company helps victims navigate these complex cases, check out the links in the description below.